Hello, how you doing? I'm Craig Parkinson. You are listening to the Two Shot Podcast. Sit yourself down, pop the kettle on. We're going to have a nice old chat. Who's it with this week? I'm going to tell you right now. How the devil are you? You had a good week? A bad week? Look, I know, it's January and it's cold and it's wet and people are miserable. But look, in about a week and a half's time, it's going to be February and then we can really start the year. But let's start things on a more positive note today because it's Thursday. It's episode 27 and we are joined by the brilliant Lloyd Hutchinson. It's a really fantastic chat. I think you're going to like it more of that in a second. I do want to say thanks so much for your emails and your messages and your tweets about Poppy Miller, episode 26 last week. And a massive thanks to Poppy for making time when she was really busy, packing up and moving to New York to start rehearsals for Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And yes, we are going to check back in with Poppy over Skype in a few months' time just to see how she's going on. It should be really interesting. And thanks again, Poppy. What else this week? It was Oscar nomination time, which is always interesting. But this year, thrilled that homegrown talent is being recognised, and there really should be one name on everybody's lips, and that is the phenomenal Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out, Best Actor nomination. Get in. I am really chuffed to bits with that. I'm also made up for Sally Hawkins for The Shape of Water, and of course it was a given, it was going to happen, but I'm really chuffed to bits for Martin McDonagh for 3 Billboards as well. And speaking of Martin, if you are in New York or you're going to New York between now and early March, get yourself along to the Atlantic Theatre. Martin's play Hangmen is in previews now, and they have their opening night. They don't do a press night in New York. They have their opening night early Feb. So I wanted to do a big shout out to Sally Rogers, Johnny Flynn, Matthew Dunster, Martin McDonagh, Reece Shearsmith, Billy Carter, Mark Addy, and all the rest of the new Hangman cast. I hope you're having a ball because I know the audiences will. So do get along to see that if you can get a ticket. Also, what else? Oh, you know we have patreon.com/2shotpod where you can go and give us some money to show your love and support and help us make these episodes. Well, we have a lot of people doing that and we are truly grateful. Honestly, we really are. And it's January. We don't expect people to do it, but there are 4 people who have gone above and beyond. They've given us a fair bit, and we're really thrilled. So I want to do a big shout out to Wendy. Wendy, I haven't got your surname, but I do have your Twitter handle. It's at I am Wendy Yall. Bless you, Wendy. Thank you. Tara Mullock, you are very generous for a rainy and cold January, so thank you for supporting us. Lewis Milroy, welcome to the Two Shot Pod family. And Lindsay Genevieve, thank you so much. It really does mean a lot that you do this. But also, likewise, if you can't afford or you just don't want to, equally, that is fine. That you download and subscribe and you let us know that you're enjoying it, or let us know that you're not enjoying it. It's fine. Either way, we're just thrilled that we can do this and you're here. One more thing. January the 30th, right? I've been asked to go on BBC Radio 5 Live with Phil Williams at 11:30 p.m. to talk about the podcast, and I'm sure we'll talk about other things as well. So if you can listen, it's 11:30, 30th of Jan, BBC Radio 5 Live with Phil Williams, or you can catch it on the BBC Radio iPlayer. Enough of this blather. I'm so sorry this is a long intro. Producer Griff, I think we should get on to it. This is episode 27 with Lloyd Hutchinson. Sorry, one thing. I should tell you, we recorded this in Soho. We had 2 pints of Guinness, one each, instead of a pot of tea, because it was our last record just before Christmas. And it's a really special episode. I really hope you enjoy it. I'll see you at the end. We'll have a short debrief, okay? Producer Griff, please play the music.
How's everybody at home, eh?
They're all great, man. Yeah. Hardy's good.
So Hardy's got dyspraxia.
Dyspraxia, yeah.
Oh, Callum has that.
Yeah. So we're just... he's got this eye test next week.
Yeah.
Where we've had to pay for it, and it looks deeper in. So we'll just see if there's any problems there.
Right.
Because he tends to add words when he's reading.
Yeah.
That aren't there.
Yeah.
Only for a bit, and then he'll go, oh, not that, and then he'll correct it. But his reading's through the roof. He's doing... Cheers, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Brilliant. Thanks so much.
Yeah, not at all.
Are we rolling? Oh, fucking, let's see, that's it. Cheers, Lloyd.
Cheers, mate. Get it down, you.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm freezing out there.
Well, that's why you're sporting your winter face. I love it.
Yeah, well, the beard.
That's
the
big, man.
Has a big beard on the go here. And the hair, I look like one of the Dubliners.
I've got a picture with me and the Dubliners.
No way!
2 of the Dubliners.
Oh, Ronnie Drew.
I can't remember. I went to I was lucky enough to go to a Jules Holland hootenanny. That I won't say what happens, but I don't want to ruin the mystique. But anyway, I was outside. I think I was smoking at the time, it was years ago, and I was outside. I met the Dubliners, and very nice and brilliant they were too.
Oh, they're lovely. Yeah. Well, in fact, one of their sons is an actor in Dublin. Phelan.
Really?
Yeah. Ronnie Drew's son's an actor.
But you're not from Dublin, are you?
No.
Where are you from?
Well, born in Tyrone, grew up in Antrim, so about 20 miles outside of Belfast. You know, in the sticks.
How was it there growing up?
It was grand. Height of the Troubles and all that.
Yeah.
But I never really experienced it or felt it, or the all the shenanigans that were going on. In fact, when I was growing up, it was quite uncool if you were sectarian in any way.
Right.
So all my mates in my group were like Catholics, Protestants, the lot. We were into our rock music, girls, and that was about it. Rock music and girls. And then the action came after.
That's what you should be into at that time.
No.
Was you a big family, Lloyd, you?
I'm the youngest. 3 of us, and I'm the youngest. I have 2 sisters. Eldest is 7 years ahead of me, and the next one's 6. So yeah, I was the little mistake that came along. Yeah, 1967. That's the good. Summer of love.
Great, yeah.
Yeah. Always reminded my dad.
You're close family.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, we're really close. Me and my sisters. I mean, they, they're business women in Antrim still. They still
live over there.
They're still over there, and yeah, when I get over, it's lovely. I try and get over when I can. I mean, all our parents are gone now, so I don't get over as much as I'd like to.
Did they pop over here and see you?
Sometimes, yeah, they'll pop over and see a play.
Yeah,
whatever. The odd time, if I'm doing something, that's convenient for them, they'll just jump on a plane and come over. It's only an hour away.
I know, exactly.
You're staring at my moustache here, because I bet you I've got Guinness all around the top.
No, you haven't at all. I'm just going, how long, you'll see on the photos of this podcast, you'll see the winter face of Mr. Hutchinson. How big, how long did that take?
Well, we went on holiday on the 1st of August.
Yeah.
And I knew that I needed it for a play, so I started growing it.
Was it for the seagull?
This was for the seagull, yeah. And so I just kept growing it. And then there was a telly job I was doing it that needed it as well.
Happy days.
And I'm still doing that, so need the beard.
It's staying.
And it's staying, although the looks I'm getting from my family. It's unbelievable. Priceless.
I did a job once very early on, and I thought I was being very artistic by saying I think my character needs... he thought of himself as very Jamaican, so he should have cornrows in his hair, and I had to have them for 3 months. And the looks that I got, this big, lanky northerner with some sort of Jamaican hairstyle going around North London.
Who suggested to you that?
I fucking suggested like an idiot.
Yeah.
I didn't offer, because it pulls your hair.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
constantly pulling it back. Yeah.
What was the voice like that went with this hairdo?
It was the bill. I was basically doing, old school Tilly rep. I can't replicate that
there.
now. Moving on. How was school for you?
Grand, yeah, lovely. I went to the last grammar school built specifically to be a grammar school in the UK.
Right.
Antrim Grammar. And, well, that's what they told me anyway. I'm very happy. And, grand, nice bunch of teachers.
Did you kind of throw yourself into school? Were you just kind of very happy?
No, and I look back now and I regret it that I wasn't a bit more studious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could have worked harder. I could have worked a lot harder. And I just didn't. I was always distracted by other things, if it wasn't, girls rock music, like I said, or... It always seemed to me that school was getting in the way of me having as best a time as I could be having, So it really kind of... I never threw myself into my studies. Like the way I encourage my kids too. I didn't do that. My parents just let me get on with it.
Yeah.
If they went to parents' evening and all the teachers were... I was called what'd they call me? Hutchinson as a chancer.
A chancer?
A chancer.
Oh,
That's what
such teacher words, isn't it?
Yeah. He's flippant and he's a chancer. And my mother came back to me, sat me down at the kitchen table and said to me, "What is going on? What is going on?" And I was, and that kind of summed up my school life.
But did you kind of go, yeah, no, they're right, yeah?
Well, they would have loved me to have been a better student. They would have loved me to have got a rake of O levels.
Your parents?
Yeah. Well, not so much my dad. My dad didn't really give a toss really one way or the other.
What did your dad do?
Oh, God, what did he not do? He did everything. He started his working life as a lemonade man, sold lemonade, graduated to ice cream. Then he was a grave digger for the local council.
How have you gone from ice cream to grave digging?
So he just took whatever came along.
Wow.
This was the 60s in Strabane.
Right.
So very quite poor, and you did anything you get. He then got himself a corner shop in Derry.
Right.
This would have been in the late 60s, but he had a bit of a problem with the old gargle, my dad.
Right.
So he kind of drank it all away. But he got off the booze eventually.
Yeah.
And got a steady job in the spin winding nylon factory in Antrim. It was like a new town. Remember the new towns in the city?
Yeah.
With all the new industry. He got a job there, and he worked in the factory that created shag pile carpet.
Really?
Yeah. And then he did that for from 68 until 83. And he came home.
Time.
Yeah, he came home one day and the job had gone. So
right.
that was the days when, Thatcher was shutting down the manufacturing industries and whatnot. And he got on the butt end of that. So
did your mum work, or did she sort of...
She was a nurse.
Was she?
She worked in a mental hospital just outside. Yeah.
Hard stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Did you ever see that documentary years ago when Joe Brand went back to the old mental hospital where she used to work, which was now sort of all closed down?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, it was haunting stuff. Yeah,
it was a pretty dark place. I think these places are much more progressive now.
Yeah,
Back
sure.
in the day, these were lockups with big keys.
Yeah.
And, she used to bring me in to meet the
Did she take you into
she
work?
used to take me in, yeah.
What did you think of that?
Well, I remember people were always very nice, and they were too nice. These are the patients that were very, very accommodating.
Yeah.
And would look at you and stuff. In those days, you were told how they're just mad.
Yeah.
But actually, they were all lovely.
Yeah.
But she did that, and then eventually she got a job out on the community. So she was basically doing what she was doing in the wards, but on the community.
Right.
So she would drive around the glens of Antrim and going into like farmhouses and stuff in families where people had, real mental problems, like schizophrenia and Huntington's, and she would go in and provide the drugs and the medication for those families. And, stories.
It's funny. I was talking about mental health the other day about back in the day, any sort of signs when you're all sort of put in the same section, whereas now it's much more acceptable to go, look,
Yeah, people are much more accepting of it.
Yeah.
I mean, a good friend of mine, very well known on the telly journalist, and he talks very openly about his depression and his therapy and all the rest of it. That would never have happened.
No.
25 years ago.
No.
Everybody held it in.
And sometimes it's a generational thing, because I've spoken to much older people. Well, we wouldn't do that then. Or, no, I've got this problem. We'll sort it out at home. I don't need to speak to... The thought of going to speak to somebody who you don't know...
Exactly.
Just to try and get to the root of a problem, or heal, or solve, or grieve, or whatever.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I think we would go, do you know what? Yeah, it's accepted, and I'm accepting of that.
Yeah.
But back in the day, no, not at all.
Yeah. Well, that was what she eventually became the person who doled out the drugs on the community. And then they eventually, what did they do? They ended up running their own nursing home. So
Did they?
They put all their eggs in one basket and built an old people's home.
Oh, they built it from scratch?
Yeah.
That's
just as I left drama school, just as I was leaving drama school, they put the foundations in, and they ended up doing all right out of it. But not when I was at bloody drama school.
So let's go back. So you finished sort of secondary school. When did the drama come into play, the acting? When did the rock music and the girls take a back seat? Well,
they're still there. They're still there. That's not just get rid of them. They're all still part of my life, right in my DNA. I left school in '85, and of course I wasn't going on to university or anything, because I just I had flunked my A levels. I wanted to go to drama school. I knew that much,
right?
So I used that year.
So you put all your eggs in one basket as well?
I did. I put all my eggs in one basket.
Well, God, me, you, and about 50,000 other people.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other way. I mean, I had sort of said to my parents that I wanted to be an actor, and they weren't into the idea of it at all. They just weren't. He would basically, do whatever my mum said. When she put the foot down and said, I don't want you to be an actor, you should get a proper job. I said, okay, I will get a proper job. So I applied to join the police.
You did not.
I did. I applied to join the RUC and got accepted. And I was given a training date to go off and train. Now, of course, in the 1980s in Northern Ireland, if you were a single guy at the age of, 18, they posted you to the border, where, and they did that for a reason, so that if you got shot, there wasn't a massive kind of follow-on of, wife and kids, and everything,
Yeah.
So if you had a family in the RUC, you I think you got an easier, well, if there was such a thing as an
at
easier
that time,
ability, yeah. But I think you got a more, friendlier environment. So I enjoyed it. When I joined the RUC, I then confronted my parents with, I've got a proper job. You wanted me to get a proper job. Here's my proper job. My mother burst into tears saying, I thought you wanted to be an actor.
Not what you made me do.
No. So they paid then for me they paid for the audition fees, which I think were about 50 quid. They haven't changed that much.
No, I think they might have gone up a little bit. There was still 50 quid
Yeah,
there.
50 bloody quid,
Unbelievable.
There was a lot of money. And my dad, who was still taxi driving at the time, he had friends in British Midland. Do you remember that area?
Yeah.
And so he got me, I could fly back and forth for the auditions on the jump seat behind the pilot.
Oh my God, how brilliant.
I know. So it was kind of cheap travel to get me back and forth. I only had to do it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
But
and when you came over, did you plan on sort of trying to audition for like a full few, or did you have your heart set on that?
Couldn't afford to.
No, of course not.
I just couldn't afford to. I mean, I think I applied to RADA and Central, and that was it. I mean, and there were no drama schools in Ireland with speaking.
So who was helping you, like, with the audition speeches?
I had my teachers, my old teacher, Alistair Smith. He used to take me through my speeches.
Was he supportive of you? Did you
say he was very supportive. They were supportive to a point. You know, my teachers back at home, they always felt that they couldn't really, say to me, yes, go off and become an actor, because there was so insecure and there was no money in it.
Yeah.
They felt that how could they, in all conscience, encourage me to be an actor?
Yeah.
I mean, I think those days too are gone. I think teachers are much more into the thing of what makes you happy and, what can creatively...
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's a shame that there's so much rubbish on the telly now with reality television where young people are watching that and they're going, well, I just want to do that. What? Be famous?
Yeah, I know.
What does that mean?
It's terrible. It's terrible. I mean, God, I sound so old now.
I know, I just caught myself saying that.
Yeah, no. But back in those days, I had like Play for Today, every Monday or Tuesday night, there was a new piece of work on TV written by somebody like David Story or whatever, and you had the BBC television Shakespeare, which I just, gobbled up. I couldn't get enough of it. All my mates thought, what's happened to Lloyd? We never see him on a Saturday night anymore. Where is he? He's staying in to watch to 12th night or something. But I look back now and think, what like Boys from the Black stuff.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I look back now and just think there was a wealth of great acting and writing on TV, and now it's hard to see it amongst.
But also, something like Boys from the Black stuff was a social commentary about what was going on at that time, and it was speaking to those people.
Yeah, absolutely. Political.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think we're kind of frightened of that these days, maybe. I don't know.
Somebody's frightened of it. Somebody's frightened of saying yes or giving the green light to something.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people out there, there's certain people out there with things to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
But everybody wants to be put in a box, I think, these days.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people wanting to be famous.
It's weird, isn't it?
I mean, my ambition was I wanted to be in the RSC. I didn't want... I wanted to join the Royal Shakespeare Company because I thought it was proper, It wasn't... I didn't want to particularly get on the box,
So you got accepted to Central?
I got accepted to RADA, actually.
RADA?
Yeah, I got to the very end of the Central auditions, and I was just when I was beginning to think, this is easy, I got the knockback. So then I endured 4 months of waiting from RADA, because they were just moving from a 7-term course to a 9-term course.
Right.
And there was this sort of period of hiatus where they were making the shift, so I had to wait a good 3-4 months before I found out that I got accepted.
And you got accepted?
I did, got accepted, and off I went in September 86.
And the government would have supported you then, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I got what was called a discretionary grant.
Yeah, I got one of those, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I was lucky. I mean,
yeah.
Because I did a bit of amateur drama as well out of Belfast, our little theatre company that we had in Belfast, and we took part in a one-act festival.
Right.
Competition.
Yeah.
And the play that we did won. And one of the judges was the lady who was on the grant awarding body.
No way.
Yeah. And she came up to me at the end after I'd sort of, I'd won the Best Actor award. And she went, "Hello, Lloyd. I just wanted to tell you I'm on the panel and I'm handling your application for RADA. We're all really thrilled."
Oh, bro, that's it. Brilliant.
I mean, God, you couldn't have scripted it.
No. So you knew that was in the bag?
I kind of knew it was, yeah. I mean, it wasn't a full grant. The fees back then were £1,200 a term, and they paid £1,000 a term. And they gave me £350 a term
for your rent
for maintenance, yeah.
Yeah.
And I look back now and I go, God, bloody hell. There's my kids just started university, and it's £9,000 a year for a BA. Extraordinary.
But then they come out at the end of university and they've got that massive debt.
Yeah.
But at least they're supported up to a point to at least be given the chance to train and educate even more.
Yeah, I find myself saying things to them now like, it's not really it's not one of the bad debts, John. This is my eldest boy. It's not really a bad debt. I mean, they don't, they're not going to be breaking down the door to get at you for it.
No,
it's more benign. But like you said, it's still a debt. A
Yeah.
debt that I didn't have when I left
no,
drama school.
no. Yeah. And how was it? How did you find RADA?
Well, I spent the first term fretting that they were going to kick me out just for having a Northern Irish accent. I mean, I genuinely was terrified that.
Did you ever have that thing of worrying that they've called the wrong person, they've made
Absolutely.
the mistake?
Absolutely.
I know.
God, yeah. Because I'd heard about it at other drama schools,
Yeah.
So I started out on the first term just going for it, trying to be the model student. And it took me the guts of a year just to relax.
Yeah.
And just get just free up a little bit. I mean, I had a great year. I mean, there was a great bunch of people.
Yeah.
And all very different. And and also I had a lot of baggage to shake off. If you grew up in Northern Ireland during the 1970s and 80s, especially coming from the Protestant, tradition like I did,
Yeah.
I kind of came to London a bit hemmed,
Yeah.
So
Were you wary?
I was wary. I didn't realise that actually, as a Protestant, that English people wouldn't accept me completely.
Yeah.
But I soon realised that actually every paddy in London is a paddy. They don't know whether you're Catholic or Protestant.
No.
So I used to experience a little bit of that kind of wariness when I started. But it, I don't know. I just I relaxed it over the course of the year. I had great people. We talked a lot about politics, lots about films and plays. I had great influences. I was just bombarded with literature.
Yeah, loads of information.
Art. Yeah. I just loved it. I just gobbled it up. I couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah.
So I was just going for it.
And did that carry on throughout the rest of the course?
It did. Although then of course the drinking starts, the smoking,
The parties.
Plenty of parties.
And the girls and the rock and roll come back into play.
Girls and rock and roll coming right back.
I'm sensing the theme already.
Yeah, that all came back in. But yeah, I had a great time.
And do you know that end, the last year, the sort of the latter half of the last year where tensions are mounting and you're going, right, well, this is it, we're leaving, we're going out into the big wide world. Did relationships change? Because I know sometimes people get quite tense.
Well, yeah, there was a little bit of that. Went on. Raddy had to do this thing called the tree evening, where you go
Tell me about that.
Well, it's this big evening where all the agents and casting directors and industry people come. They sit in the theatre while you and your mates get up and do two speeches, or a speech and a scene from a play.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, you kind of meet everybody and
it's so awkward.
Hope that letters or even, letters from agents are going to come. And God, I mean, some people in my year, there was fucking bagloads of letters from agents. Come with us, we want to represent you.
Yeah.
And then the rest of us sort of leafing through, lucky to get
anything
we this morning. Anything in your pigeonhole this morning? No. Figures.
The dreaded pigeonhole.
Yeah. So everybody, so there was a little bit of that. I do remember. He won't thank me for this, but one of my friends, I remember he was a sort of very posh kind of English guy, and on the night of the tree, and he went, "I bloody hate this. I hate this." And, what's the matter with you? I said, "Oh my friends, look at you all acting like animals." We still tell him about that. Yeah. I mean, it was really funny, but I was lucky in that I had managed to get a job,
before graduation.
I knew I was going on to a job and a couple of nice wee jobs, and so I knew that I was going to be leaving with a gig, an equity card, because back then, of course, you had to get your equity card. So I had that and a wee bit of money, so I was able to kind of like have a fun evening at the train, no tension at all. It's got a great old night. And but for other people, it was harder. But ultimately, it was no indication of how we were all going to develop,
or what it's really like.
Or what it's really like. Yeah, there's no idea. I suppose out of my year, there's maybe about half the year still working.
God, that's quite a high percentage.
It is quite a high percentage. Yeah, it's not bad. But I'd say there's about 5 of us that are working, in a kind of like a consistent way. Where you kind of go, oh yeah, I could call this my job. Yeah, yeah.
Do you feel that things have changed, like in the business over the years?
Well, yes, I do. I was just thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about how directors have changed a lot over the years. I mean, I remember starting out at the RSC, and it was mainly men, and they were quite patrician in their dealings with you,
right?
And they weren't frightened of just telling you what to do and how to do it. And that has changed a lot over the years. I mean, I just don't think you'd get a director sort of being so, directorial with you anymore. It kind of comes out of a process more.
Yeah. Although I have worked with some that goes, "What are you doing? Oh, shit. Really? Do it again."
God.
Yeah. But you have to with.
Go on, have another pint there. Tell me all about it.
No, but you have to work. You have to have a very good relationship with the director.
You do.
For something like that to happen, and I respect it when that happens, because I would have a very good relationship with somebody who would say that to me. Because I go, well, that's amazing, because I know what you want.
Yeah.
You don't want me to do it like that. Right, great, it's fine.
Yeah. It's it's kind of when it gets abused, I suppose.
Yeah, which happens as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And is it all? Because what I'm interested in is how certain actors deal with the darker times, with the because we all come out there with a certain amount of confidence, but underneath the armour, we're kind of quite brittle with the rejection and knockbacks all the time. And then when the work doesn't seem to flow as well, how do you deal with that? I mean,
I'm crap at it, to be honest with you, Craig. I'm useless at it. I'm not one of these actors that's very good at sort of, I'm great, I've got a bit of time on my own now, I can work around the house and do stuff around it. I'm useless at it. And I go into a funny old, tense place. But it's weird, because I've sort of structured my career, or if you can do that, by sort of trying to do work that keeps me occupied a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do quite often the sort of hanging around and turning down loads of theatre so that theatre or so that a nice big telly job will come along. I tend not to do that. I mean, I just because I know what I'm like, I get really, really bored. When I get bored, I get tetchy, and then I can go into a bad place.
Yeah.
And I do, I was with David Mamet said that thing. He says, participate. If you can, participate. Don't hang out for the big jobs or whatever. Or just somebody's come along and offered you a lovely play. Okay, it's not a big Netflix series, but we want you to do it. Why don't you do it? The chances are that might not happen.
Exactly.
So what are you going to do? And that's kind of been my sort of journey. I mean,
have you always felt like that, or is that something that you've learned along the way, or learnt from somebody else?
Maybe it's insecurity. Maybe it's just a deep insecurity. Maybe I just don't have that. Maybe I'm just not secure enough to kind of go, okay, I'm gonna do any theatre, and I'm just gonna sit back and just wait for stuff to happen. Maybe I need to just get stuck in and do a play if they come along, or a long contract. Maybe that's just what I need as an actor.
I think we're all pretty insecure, really. Yeah.
Oh, we are, but the way people's careers go. I mean, I say to some actor friends of mine who do a lot of work on the telly, I said, would you not like to do a play? And they go, I never go up for them. I mean, it never happens. And then part of me goes, well, why do I'd love to go up for more TV, but it seems to happen for me that I do more theatre, or maybe we just get stuck in these ponds.
Yeah.
And it's a bit hard to get out of them.
And also,
don't get me wrong, I love working in the theatre. I love working.
Yeah, but also you do really good stuff in the theatre. You do work with brilliant people.
Yeah, no, I've been really lucky. I've worked with some terrific people. But I mean, I never ever. I mean, I do kind of get into that scenario of, well, that was my last job. Fine, that was my last job. What's the next job? Or if I'm in the middle, if I get a job, there's that moment when you get a job and you're like, oh, I've got a job.
Yeah.
It doesn't take me long before I'm thinking, okay, I've got that job. What about the job after that? You know what I mean?
Always, isn't it?
What
is it that the phone rings? Well, I go, wow, the massive. With massive euphoric highs must come crushing lows.
Absolutely.
And you think your mind's got right. Okay, well, we're in. So that's 3 months sorted.
Yeah. What's going to happen after that?
Yeah. I think that's natural, though. I mean, because we've been doing it for quite some time. We just.
Right, I'm not going to do any plays from now on. I've got to hang out for that fee.
Oh, Lloyd, what have we done? You've turned you down a nasty cul-de-sac coming on this podcast. I'm so sorry,
kids. It's going to be a light Christmas this year. Well, that's true though. Too, if you have kids and you're in a family.
Well, exactly. I talk all the time about your priorities changing. You can't just go off and do 6 months at the RSC anymore because it's not about you, is it?
No. You've got kids to raise and they want to see you there.
Yeah, and you have to be there. You've got to be present, and as a dad.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember I was working for Out of Joint, and I did a lot of work for Out of Joint over the years. I really enjoyed myself. We did some great work. But I remember I was wandering around Salisbury Cathedral in 2005, and I'd been to Salisbury Cathedral about 3 times before, in years before on tour, and I thought, if I have to go to that bloody brass rubbing centre again and do there is nothing to do on tour. And meanwhile, my kids are at home.
Yeah.
They're growing up. I talk to them on the phone every evening. It just makes me sad and down that I'm not there at bath time. What am I doing?
Yeah.
So I made a decision then in 2005 that I wouldn't tour. I wouldn't do those big tours again because I just fell into a pit of depression,
Guilt.
I
mean, I if ever I'm away for a long period of time, I don't know why I'm stuttering, the guilt sets in. Well, I'm not there for that. I can't get that back.
Yeah.
You can't, because you can't get it back, can you? Those times.
Yeah.
And because children change all the time,
yeah.
You weren't there when he said that sentence, and he'll never say that again. That was that moment.
So, moral is, you don't want to be guilty and depressed in Salisbury.
And go brass rubbing.
In Salisbury. You just don't want that. It's not a good place to be as a jobbing actor. With kids.
But with say if you are doing a long run, do you get, because I know friends who would do theatre, and they love it for a certain amount of time, and after a bit of time they get bored.
Oh God, yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Well, I try and make other actors laugh on stage every. Oh God, I'm so bored of this bloody. How can I really fuck up Leslie Sharp this evening? There's a bit of that
the thing is, people listen to this will think he's joking, and he's really not.
That's really not true. And it's sad because she is so up for it. So if you lob something over to Leslie, you're going to get it back with interest. I don't know. I mean, I did Stones in His Pockets for 7 months. And it nearly killed me. I was like...
And there's only 2 of you on stage.
Only 2 on stage. It was a hard evening in the theatre too. I remember arriving at the Tech and I saw 2 matching costumes. And I said to the stage manager, why have I got 2 costumes? And he looked at me and raised his eyebrow. He said, you'll see. And I was like, so you sweated so much in the first half, you needed a change. And that was 7 months.
My
and
God.
And...
Great play, though.
Great play, lovely play.
Yeah.
But it was hard work, and
did you couldn't? I mean, is it? Can you keep that fresh all the time? 7 months.
Yeah. There was something about the way that play was written and the way that play kind of was structured that, you could kind of it kept its integrity very well. You know, and also there was so many laughs in it.
Yeah.
They were quite druggy, the laughs.
Yeah. And I suppose because both of you playing so many different characters, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you had off nights like everybody does, and I remember we used to do a Thursday matinee, so you'd end up, you do 5 shows in 3 days, and you'd get to Saturday night and knackered. So I knew there was times, you know, we could take a good 12 to 15 minutes off the Thursday matinee if we were good, you know, because there weren't that many people in it. You could, you know, get it over with quickly and drive through it, you know. But yeah, I mean that's why the rep system at the National is so brilliant. You can be working at the National for like 6 months.
Yeah,
but you won't be on every night. Yeah, which is great for family life. You know, it's a nice gig for an actor to get, and
of course you still get him. I've never worked there in rep. I only worked there once for, you know,
a block of
time, but you're still getting paid over the.
Oh yeah,
the
you
rep
are.
time,
Yeah, but you get performance fees for every time you perform.
Yeah,
I'll say, so if you even that out over the course of the run, you know, then you know. That's how you can kind of work out what your salary is. But that time off stage is as important as the time on stage. I mean, it really, you get a time to recharge your batteries and just, you know, the play. I always say this to people: the play becomes an event. You know, when it plays in rep like that at the National, every night is special. You're not. It's not a war of attrition where you're banging out 8 shows a week.
Yeah.
Every night is an event. If you're doing like 40 performances of a play over the course of 4 months, you know, they become like proper gigs that you want to get right, you want to deliver to the audience. So that's the great thing about it.
And that's great for the actors on stage and for the bloody paying audience.
Yeah.
And also because it's not cheap.
It's not.
Although, do you know what? Bearing in mind, the last time I went to the National, I got a ticket for £15.
Also, Travel X season.
Which is fucking brilliant.
I mean, that's one of the greatest things that's happened.
And I just turned up on the night.
Yeah.
And managed to get
absolutely,
one.
Yeah.
But then I spoke to a friend of mine who went to a press night last night at a theatre, and he thought, he'd come back, because it was so good, he'd come back and bring his son. And it was, you know, £100 and something, £80.
I know, yeah.
And I said to him, well, how can a family of 4
afford? I know. I had a right go at Michael Boyd at the RSC one time. I never right go at him, you know. I was working for him at the time. But I'd taken the kids to see Matilda in the West End.
Right.
Now, we didn't have much change at £300 for that show, that evening. You know, we live in London. You know, imagine if you lived outside of London.
Yeah.
And I just said, it confused me as to why a play that had been created in a subsidised venue like the RSC was costing so much in the West. Was there any way that you could kind of, you know, bring the ticket prices down a little bit? But I suppose it was a big cash cow for the RSA.
But especially a play that is so aimed at a market, which is children.
Yeah, exactly. And it was bloody brilliant. I mean, I would have been properly naffed off if I'd sat there going, this is crap, what am I doing? But it was a great evening.
I know. I remember I got tickets the other year for Susan and our little boy to go, and I couldn't go for some reason.
Oh, where were you? Off on tour in Salisbury, were you?
I was brass rubbing on a Saturday afternoon. Oh, that was my excuse anyway. And they went, and yeah, it was not cheap, but they did come out, and my boy was.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's what it.
And I thought, well, do you know what? I can't really put a price on that. Not that he's going to go to the theatre every bloody week, because I can't afford that. But, you know, there's such a big difference, you know, going to the cinema and the magic of cinema, but all the magic of live theatre. I mean, you can't...
Totally.
You can't recreate that.
Yeah, absolutely not. And it's like drugs. I mean, like earlier this year I did Midsummer Night's Dream at the Young Vic, had a brilliant time, but I couldn't quite get out of my head the time I saw it first when I was 17 in Belfast, and the RSC had come to town with their version of Midsummer Night's Dream. Extraordinary cast. And I remember seeing Daniel Day-Lewis play Francis Flute, the bellows mender, prancing around in a white tutu. And I just thought, he's out for every laugh he can get. This guy's having a ball, you know. And I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to do that. You know, this is great fun. So, there's Hardy's coming out of Matilda, kind of,
Yeah, no, we had thought that. But that's what you think. You go, yeah, that's great fun. And that's what it should be about. You're going on there to play.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think, don't forget. And, this is not a preachy podcast at all, but let's not forget to play. Because that's what we all. Why we all started doing it in the first place. Surely.
Absolutely. Yeah. To go out and play.
Yeah.
And I hate it when I feel like the barriers are, there's, handcuffs are being put on you in rehearsals, or it gets too serious.
Yeah.
Even when you're doing Oedipus Rex, or Hamlet, you're out there to have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And it's that special fun, that actors can have when, it doesn't matter if they're, delving into the pit of their soul to dredge something up. That's the fun part.
I know. Sometimes I think I have more of a laugh doing some of the darkest stuff.
Totally.
And then it's quite the reverse. Then you go and do a comedy and it's like, it's all very serious, this comedy.
Yeah.
Should we just line it up a bit? Lloyd, do you ever think about stopping it all and going to do something else and just going, do you know what? Enough's enough. I've had enough. Have you ever had enough, or is this something within you that you need to sort of feed your soul as well as, pay the mortgage and put food on the table?
No, I'm genuinely still loving it and enjoying it and getting out there and enjoying doing it. And you put me in a rehearsal room with a bunch of other actors and we've got a great play and it's a nice setup. That to me is a great thing. I did have a wobble around about 2005, but I kind of think that was more of a life thing. My parents had all died. And my eldest boy had been diagnosed with Asperger's, and we didn't know much about it at the time. It all seemed like life was just conspiring against me, and I remember thinking, God, how can I just don't have the enthusiasm to go out and do a big play every issue. I just haven't got. What I want to do is I want to go off and join. I wanted to be a tree surgeon. I thought, that's it, I want to get out into nature. I don't know anything about trees. I don't know anything about nature. I mean, I'm useless. Absolutely crap. But I thought, I've got to get out there and do it.
Yeah.
Do it. But that lasted the length that it's taken us to drink these pints, and I was right back in the theatre again. And I'm still in there. I'm still determined to do, to keep working.
And finding the fun.
Finding the fun, yeah. And meeting up and creating ensembles with other actors.
Yeah.
It's great. When it works, it's fantastic.
But even sometimes when it doesn't work, you still... I've said this so many times on these podcasts, and I can't say it enough, really, because the great thing about what we do is we never stop learning. So even if we're in a bad ensemble or on a bad job, you go, well, you know what? I've still learned from this.
Yeah.
I can't work with this type of person, or
you've
how they
discovered
create.
that about you.
We're forever finding our people.
Yeah, exactly. And I've had bad experiences over the years, but it's never put me off to the extent where I'd go.
No, you've managed to sort of turn it into a positive.
Yeah.
In a way. That's what you've got to, otherwise you're just going to get down.
Yeah.
And it's so... I think sometimes it's so easy to go the other way and go...
Yeah, and I think the best rehearsals are rehearsals where there's a positive atmosphere in the room.
Yeah.
And fun.
And shit like that bleeds down anyway from the top.
Yeah.
So it all depends who's steering the ship, I suppose.
Exactly. Totes.
Lloyd, it's been an absolute pleasure having a lovely pint of Guinness with you.
Very Guinness in the afternoon. A sinful pint in the afternoon.
I think I could just go to an insurance seminar with you and still have a good time. Thank you so much for coming on.
Don't put that about me.
And there we go. Mr. Lloyd Hutchinson. What a bloke. What a force. Look, if you've been lucky enough to see Lloyd on stage, certainly last year, I mean, he was all over the shop. He was in Midsummer Night's Dream at the Young Vic. He was in the Seagull at Lyric Hammersmith. He was in Salome at the National. He's about to rehearse another play at the National starting now. There's something about him on stage. Now, to say that he's got a twinkle in his eye, it's not quite right. I think what I mean is he's alive. He's fizzing with energy, and sometimes it can be unpredictable, and that is really fucking exciting. If you haven't seen Lloyd on stage, seek out where he is, go and see him. The guy's an absolute gem. I'm sure anybody who knows him will agree. Yeah. So Lloyd, if you're listening, which you're probably not, but I want to thank you so much for coming on. It was a brilliant way to end the year before our Christmas break. And it was lovely to share that Guinness with you. So, I'm going to wrap it up because that intro was really long. I'm really sorry. But next week is episode 28. And if you remember, at the end of last year, we recorded a little mid-Christmas break video, and I was saying that not only this year are we talking to actors, we're talking to all sorts of creative types of people. Episode 28 is going to be one of those weeks, and I'll tell you all about it on Monday. You know where to follow us. We're on Twitter at 2shotpod. That's Facebook and Instagram too. If you want to email in, you can. It's at 2shotpod. It's not at 2shotpod. The email is 2shotpod@gmail.com. Every week I get that wrong. Every week. I'm sorry. We love getting your emails and your messages, so do keep them coming. And I'll see you next week, and try not to mess up the outro. Have a brilliant week. Wrap up warm if it's cold. Take care. Stay safe. And thank you so much for downloading and subscribing. Take care. The Two Shot Podcast is presented by me, Craig Parkinson, recorded and produced by Thomas Griffin for Splicing Block. Our brilliant music is courtesy of Then Thickens. Cheers.